session. That'll be great because it's not a lecture series, it's not a workshop or something. I just want to get to know all of you and share the experiences and possibly try and understand your experiences at the same time because everyone
Yeah.
in their own perspective and in their own right, is a leader or a mentor in their own sphere. So I would love to know all of you, whoever is here. So just a small request, if it's possible for you, if it's feasible, do keep your camera on. I would love to get to know you guys. So let me know, Mr. Bhesh, whenever you want me to start.
Let me start with me. Let me start with me.
Okay.
Myself, MJ. People call me MJ, and I would like to know my name. My name is good. I like that. Uh, First, I would like to give introduction of this group. This is the Neophytes. Neophytes means learner. So we started this group in lockdown. The basically what funda was that we want to release our stress, and we want that we somebody needs to talk, needs to listen us. So nobody was there during the lockdown, and we started to meet online. Few friends earlier, we only 4 5 friends were there who were meeting online. And then we spread that why not we are spending our time to learn something. We will together, but we'll learn something, we'll share something. So by the sharing and caring, we'll grow together, and that was the idea. And after that, you can see that almost 200 people are in the group, and every week, we are doing this session. Earlier, we were doing twice in a week, Monday and Friday, but now we are doing on this session only on Friday. It's a we also call this group as a buddy group because we have a so many so much good bonding with all members. Almost I know almost each and everyone. I made someone personally, and I someone who's there who's are very close to me, but I never met with that person face to face. But otherwise, yes, I can say that we have a very good bonding to each other. So that's we all. Guys, I request to all give your 30-second introduction because see, so many people are new also, and so many people are very old. So वो भी थोड़ा introduction वगैरह हो जाए. Yeah. And if you have any question between this, then yes, start Nilesh.
So myself, Nilesh Rodia, I'm working in Ahmedabad and working as a HR business partner of one of the private limited company. And I carry almost 12 plus years of experience where my major role or major forte is to establish HR or structured HR in structuring HR in any organization which is growing. So and presently I am taking care of as HR business partner. So it is sales HR, plant HR, and OD, organizational development
Yeah.
activities.
Everybody have only 30 to 40 seconds.
Yeah.
So within 30 40
Sir,
seconds, you need to complete your. Yeah.
myself Batuk Waja, and I'm a retired person. I retired as a head HR from Switzerland, and at present I'm running my own consultancy. Thank you.
Great. Great. Ashish. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, good evening, sir.
Please.
Sir, my name is Ashish Biswas. Basically, I am from in Kolkata, West Bengal. Currently, I am working as executive HR in Tata Motors Limited in Jamshedpur. Yes, sir. Thank you so
Great.
much, sir.
Yes. Yeah. Please, Arun Chakravarti.
Hi, Dr. Karan. How are you? I'm Arun Chakravarti. I've 25 plus years of experience in the as a HR and legal professional. Last 2 years, I have changed my line. I'm now into the digital marketing and have built up an organization as an entrepreneur, and then I'm doing the digital marketing for different organizations, nationally and internationally both.
Nice to
Great.
meet you
Yes,
guys.
Parun.
Hi, this is Parun Dagra. I have 15 plus years of experience into training and development, learning development, behavioral trainings, and different verticals of training, launch
Great.
trainings and all. I have started working with HCL Technologies and worked with Tech Mahindra, GSTN network, which is Goods and Service Network. I work for Home Credit India, so different multinational companies in Delhi. Now I'm in Surat, Gujarat, and associated with Kia Motors. Thank you.
Yeah, please. Anand, Dr. Anand.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Anand. I am from Hyderabad. I work with the GEMS Education as a national head HR. Thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah. Meghna.
Sir, there's a lot of disturbance in the background, so I haven't switched on my
It's okay.
video.
We can
So,
hear you.
okay, I'm Meghna. I'm pursuing my MBA from AIMS Institutes, Bangalore. I'm student.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, great, great. Habib. Habib, are you there? Yeah, please. Unmute yourself, please. Habib, unmute yourself, please, first.
Yes, yes. Yeah, this is Habib from Rajkot. I'm working for Mahindra CI Automotive Limited and come with almost 14 years of experience and with experience of all aspects of HR. So,
Great.
thank you.
Yeah. Chaya. Chaya,
Hi
are you
MJ.
there? Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Hi, Karan. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chaya here. I'm based out of Bangalore at a HR. I have an experience in generalist and recruitment profile. Thank you.
Great. मैं टेक्स्ट लिखते जा रहा हूँ मतलब जैसे मालूम पड़े थोड़ा किसको या दामोदर प्लीज दामोदरम unmute yourself please.
Hey, good evening, folks. Myself Damodar, out of HR with Byju's for almost 4 years. I manage internal audits and compliances.
Great. Sonu Makwana. Yeah, please. I request to all please open your camera. कोई यहाँ पे खा नहीं जाएगा आपको but if you will give your can then yeah just thank you Ashwin. Yeah. Yes. Sudhir, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi. Myself Sudhir here, senior HR working for Prodigy Technovation with a vast experience of 6 years.
Okay, great. T Ashwin. Sudhir, you are very senior person but we always love to listen you. Are you there? T Ashwin. Okay, I think you like. Yes, Ruti.
Yeah, hello everyone. Myself Trupti Raj. I'm from Surat and I'm working in Jainam Broking Limited. It's one of the financial industry and a total 17 years of experience in HR. Currently handling whole the HR journalist profile. Thank you.
Sir, I'm sorry, I have a lot of bandwidth issues. I mean, and my daughter also. So I'm not opening the camera. Okay, so my name is Sameer. I'm working in Nagaro Software since last 3 years. Overall, carry around 12 years of experience with 9+ years in HR. I'm working as a senior HR business partner with Nagaro, like I mentioned.
Good evening. I'm traveling. I'll connect you back some time. Okay. You just continue.
Hello everyone, myself Rohit Prajapati. I'm working with Vega India Private Limited since last 4.5 years. I have total 10 years of experience in HR field and looking after a journalist profile.
वो तो हो गया सर मेरा.
Hi everyone, good evening. This is Samir Kadam. Okay, currently I'm working with General Electric as a compliance. Since I'm looking after compliance part over here, I have around 10 years of experience into general, around 5 years into generalist and around 5 years into compliances. So I'm currently associate General Electric Multimodal Factory, Pune. Thank you all. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, good evening all. My name is Jyoti Kamble. I'm working as an HR executive from last 2 years, and total overall I have 7 years of experience in an admin executive. But newly I have started my career in HR from last 1.5 years. Now I'm working in a manufacturing company, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello everyone, myself Hiral Vaidya, having 4 years of experience and working with the Sangini Group. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Afkin.
Hello. Yeah, right now I'm working at Kimberly Hunter International LLP at Indore location. I have 5+ years of experience in HR field. Yes, sir.
Hi everybody. My name is Rakshit. I am from Vadodara, Gujarat, but right now I'm pursuing my MBA from Hyderabad, and I'm in the final year and just got placed in a company in Hyderabad for the HCM implementation role. Thank you.
Hi, good evening all. Myself Jaydevsi Parmar, presently working with the Foss Rock Chemical India Private Limited. It is in Ankleshwar, Gujarat location as a manager HR and IR. Thank you so much.
Hello. Yes, sir, can you hear me? Yeah, yeah. Hi. Good evening to all. Myself Hetal Parmar. I'm from Vadodara. I have a 2 years of experience in HR. Currently working with a Nomjon Vadodara as a HR specialist. Thank you.
Good evening, Mahesh and all my friends here. Good evening. I'm Santosh Kumar. I'm from Mysore, in fact. I'm working for a subsidiary of Reserve Bank of India. I'm AGM HR here, and I have almost 23 to 24 years of experience in HR.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Naresh, and thank you, everyone, for giving a short little introduction about where you are and what you're doing. I hope to get to know more about you as we get along into the call. So, see, my journey in my career started in a very different industry where the element of human resource or human resource capital, when we say, is extremely important. So I was working in the Indian Army as a lieutenant under SSC, which is Short Service Commission. I was in something called CIA Ops, which is counterinsurgency operations. 5 years I've started my career only in Kashmir, so remote parts of Kashmir, and my primary objective was what we call covert operations, and primary objective was basically, in one way or the other, neutralizing the threat that comes from across the border. So it was a very interesting learning point for me. For for lack for a better word, but for, let's say, neutralizing a lot of terrorists, I was awarded the Sena Medal by the Government of India uh, uh, before I got into my next part of my career. So the reason why I said human capital or human resource capital is very critical to the Indian Army is because how we see human resource. See, for me, of course, I'll talk about the topic today that we are talking about is transformational leadership is one of the very important elements for people who possibly are already in human resource management. I understand most of you are, and people who might be planning to sort of advance their career. So, from the first experience, let me give you a very important perspective of what I understood about how you manage uh, people, right? You don't technically have any department that's called specifically HR in the army. Uh, but what happens is that you're dealing with more than, in any specific regiment, you're dealing with more than 1,500 to 2,000, men who come from literally every single part of the country, and you're supposed to somehow get them connected together and collaborate and have a working environment, let's, for a better word of it, so that they are productive and operational and they can, do what they're supposed to do. So that is a very unorthodox perspective to human resource management, but actually it's very pragmatic. And that was my first, you can say, brush with understanding how different people from different parts of the country would possibly come together and work and have the same objective. So during the years after finishing my service with the army, I moved to England, finished my master's at Oxford University, and worked for Apple in corporate for 6 years. After working for Apple for 6 years, I worked further for another company in the UK called Audio Solutions. So almost 9 years of working in United Kingdom. Then I relocated to India. My primary experience in India has been in running organizations from scratch, whether it is a established residential group of K-12 schools. Let's, for example, I was the director of curriculum for the GD Goenka group for 5 years, which is in Gurgaon. I was with the Podar group in Bombay itself for quite a number of years. I was then working as a CEO of a net tech company in Bangalore during the pandemic time and when the pandemic hit. And I've also had the opportunity and the pleasure of working with the Chaitanath Group as the head of the residential institute, which is in Chennai. So, in all of the roles, whether it was in the army, whether it was in a corporate, or whether it was in education, one very important aspect that I always felt is not really understood or maybe not driven forward is the perspective that people who are in human resource or are human resource managers or associates or human resource directors, are they leaders or are they not leaders, and what kind of leadership are they supposed to have? So most of the times you would imagine when you look at HRs, it's most of the employees either have a love or a hate relationship with you because you are one person in your organization that people have to sort of respect, sometimes because out of policies or whatever. But to me, in my experience, being in the startup culture also for the last few years and started my own two companies few years back, I realized the importance, or rather, the undermining that is given to the human resource department in our country. Because as a country, we're not a process driven country. We're a people driven country, and we are not an objective country. We are an emotional country. For example, why most of the economies or most of the companies, wherever they are, they're able to thrive because people work. I mean, whatever policies that we set, it's based on a process. You don't attack each other because of your personal egos or your personal vendettas or all those kinds of problems that create a toxic work culture. People work according to the policies. So HRs are as equally treated as leaders in an organization as any other person, because they are very central to the talent, to removing what we call attrition rate, to improving the company's employability in terms of retaining talent, and also from the perspective of developing the right kind of work culture where people can actually grow. So the growth pathway in the world is actually designed by human resource for employees. And also, the second problem in India is, since we've been a colony for 100 years for the British Empire, we still have a master and slave concept in our country. We do not understand the factor of what it means to be empowered. And most of the times, it's not really our fault because of extreme privatization. There's a lot of exploitation, and people tend to bypass the factor of being 100% productive, because the HR is always, having this double-edged sword. Either it's pro-employer, and anytime if it goes pro-employee, then it's a vicious cycle. So which side would you choose, right? So people who are policymakers, I mean, there are a lot of companies where the human resource people are more empowered, but there are a lot of companies where they're not. I mean, people keep human resource as because it is required by law, but most of the decisions are taken still by the primary stakeholders of the organizations. Hence, the problem in our country, in my experience, having set up startups where having hired HRs and seen and giving them the empowerment to drive not just the recruitment, but to drive the company's vision forward in terms of not just manpower, but in terms of how do you develop the company's work ethos. That is in the hands of the human resource department. And trust me, I mean, it is absolutely important that you have certain groups here where people can talk about their grievances. But one problem that I've had with not just people in HR, but generally the workforce in India is Indians they love to procrastinate. You know, we love the idea of procrastinating. We love complaining, which is good. It's good because we are, as a from our ancestors, we are as a civilization, we love to think, which is a good thing. We have great philosophers and thinkers coming from our country, but we're not known for being doers. We're known for procrastinating. Whereas the rest of the world likes to do, we like to think, or we like to crib. So one of the earliest experiences that I realized in my life was right in front of the enemy, where it was a do or die situation. That's where I realized the importance of compassion, and that's actually where I realized the importance of human life. And I also realized a very important thing, that every second that you waste is a second that is taking you closer to your grave. So if you sit in your bed, you relax, or if you sit in your office, you crib, talk to each other about this guy is that way, that guy is that way. That's all good. But all you're doing is you're not growing. You're not growing in any aspect. You're not growing as a human being. You're not growing as a professional. You're not upscaling. You are stuck in that little bubble that you call life. You take your paycheck home. You live in that bubble. Life carries on, and eventually you die. There is no other way. You're a perishable item. So there is a Latin term which means carpe diem, and carpe diem basically means seize the day. And I know it sounds very philosophical and very wonderful, but trust me, it worked genuinely for me because I took up the challenge in a country where young leaders ironically are frowned upon. As a country, why I'm saying it's ironical is because we like to churn out in our educational institutions. We sell that we will create leaders. And when these young people who are probably in their late 20s do get into leadership positions, then we start to stigmatize them. So we kind of contradict the whole idea of what we sell in our education industry. So I had the same challenge. But because I never stopped upscaling or learning, I never, till today, see, I took my first principal posting when I was only 29. And I never thought of age as being a relative term. You could be 29 and still have the emotional intelligence of maybe a 50-year-old, or you could be 59 and still have the EQ of a 16-year-old teenager. So in today's world, IQ doesn't matter, your CV doesn't matter. Nobody is interested in hiring you for your CV. Yes, there are certain pockets in the country where your CV will get you a job and possibly a certain kind of salary, and you're like, yeah, that's okay, that's enough. But if you really want to transform yourself, you need to work on your EQ, not IQ, what we call multiple intelligence. See, back in the armed forces, when you work in a special unit, so basically, we were functioning in a time scale where every day it was actually a thing that I used to literally sleep with my loaded AK-47 by my pillow. There's no other way to live like that. I used to have a very long beard. Right now, I look like a whatever human being. But I was, because I was in counterinsurgency, so I never wore army fatigue. I used to always roam around in Pathani clothes because I had to look like my enemy. And every single day could have been the last day. We knew that. So what did that teach us? It taught us to live every minute to its fullest, because we realized any other minute we could be gone. And that realization I carried right through my life. So I am now touching 37 this year, and I've had the pleasure or the opportunity of running six organizations, out of which two are my own startups. And I never stop the fact that, okay, now we have this saying, been there, done that. There is not a single day in my life that I say that, okay, that's it, now I'm done, this is it. The day you say this is it, that then you are as good as an apple or a vegetable. Then you're a vegetative person, you're not a human being. The whole purpose of you being put on this planet is to evolve and to grow till your last minute, till your last breath. So the number one message I think I want to drive here is, we're talking about transformational leadership. You won't believe I'm teaching transformational leadership right now to students in Cardiff University who are in their MBA last year. And what do I see in good universities also is that there is a preconceived notion that, okay, if I get placed in this place, I might get this much of package. That's good. That's called success. So the problem is, in our country, we equate success to our materialistic output. That means the house, the car, my CTC. We do not equate it to our actual inner personal growth. So if you put it from a mathematical perspective, you are directly proportional to your success margin in your society with respect to your end result. Nobody's interested in the journey in your country. Right from the day when you're born in this country, you're always told that, okay, if you get 96%, parents would say, okay, now we will buy your toy if you get 96. So right from day one, recently my research paper was published in Harvard University, which talks about the early childhood development and how it is either a good or a bad thing, which ends up creating good or bad leaders. If you look at the leaders of today, you're living in a world where one part of the developed world is waging war. There's a possibility of the third world war. You have a you are living in a world where some of the top world leaders do not even understand the logic of what global warming means. You're living in a world where one of the most strongest economies like United States, where the ex-president, and I quote him, said that global warming is a myth. The reason I'm telling you that is that, along with other things, I also work as an ambassador to the United Nations for the Sustainable Development Goals. So I work with the National Institute of Transforming India. It's a central government body called NITI Aayog. And the reason I've been working with them for the last 2 years is basically working in terms of how to create solutions for climate change in our country, is when I realized that people think it's still something which is very far off. See, the problem is the last four generations, mine included, have created this problem for the kids of today. Our children were born already in a sick planet. So technically, it's not their fault. It is our fault. We would possibly have lived the best years of our life and then we would perish, but then we will leave them a planet that is not possibly a healthy planet to possibly live on. So now they have to come up with solutions to reverse the cycle that we have done. The errors of our 5 generations across the world. And I was shocked to know that there's so many villages in the country which are doing so many amazing things to create sustainability. And I also have a shock to know that the maximum tier one cities are not doing anything. Most of the fancy companies and everything, it's all on paper. Everyone wants to do CSR, corporate responsibility, but it's theoretical. The practical outcome based system is something which is very poor in our country. So transformational leadership for human resource development is very important, because I want people who are in HR to understand that if you become just an extension of your boss, and if your organization is deriving policies which are, you can say, punitive or repressive, then you become the bad person. You might draw a paycheck and you might be in the good books of your boss, but that's again not going to be for long. And in hindsight, when you do a reflection, I don't think you would call yourself a successful person. So the important factor is transformational leadership means that you have the competency, you have the knowledge, to show that transformation can happen in your organization, and you bring in that leadership to create that transformation by yourself. You do not depend on person X or person Y to take up the leadership. You're not stepping on somebody's toes, by the way. You're showing leadership because you believe that this is how the organization should be, because you're the human resource person, whether you're an associate manager, director, on whatever level. You have to understand the importance of your own role. If you do not take yourself seriously, why do you expect anyone else to? So the biggest problem is, or I would say the biggest feedback or suggestion that I can give you is, please don't live uh, in a state or in a bubble where you assume that you are here forever and chalta hai attitude is the number one word in India, right? Unfortunately, that doesn't work. So if I would have gone with that logic, I would have been, again, I'm saying age is a very relative term. You could find your definition of success at any point, and everyone's definition of success is very different. But do not go by the societal definition of success, because then you're just wearing a different mask every day. You will forget who you are as a person, and you will only try to embody or copy other practices that other probably human resource people are doing in an organization. You will lose any inch of originality that you possibly think you had. So by the time you hit your last golden years, you would look back with genuine regret. I don't want anyone to go through that in life. On the happiness index, it's a sad factor to know that we are the bottom third, one of the most unhappiest nations in the world. There are 150 countries which were under the survey. India is at 147. So that speaks a lot about why transformational leadership is not just limited to executives or CFOs or CEOs. The first transformational leadership has to happen for human resources, because you have to understand that that's the central core of an organization's functionality, and it is also the central core of an organization actually becoming known for their best practices. If the human resource department is proactive, active is not enough. You have to be proactive. You have to balance out, of course, your vision and mission of your organization, but you also have to balance out your employees. You have to create that system. So I'm going to take a break here, Mr. Mason, and I would be open to questions or any feedback from anyone, because I've been rambling for a while.
आप जैसे कि करण सर आपने बताया कि इंडिया का कल्चर है, बट फिर भी इन बहुत सारे लोग हैं इंडिया में वर्क करते हैं। इंडस्ट्री पे डिपेंड करता है एक्चुअली। हमारा जो है, जो फॉलो हम करते आ रहे हैं इंडस्ट्री है, पॉलिटिक्स ज्यादा होता है, एचआर अपने एफर्ट्स भी डालता है, फिर भी somebody is trying to lag pullings is over there. I'm working in one of the logistic firm, and similarly the situation and we are facing in HR department. So people are in HR and taking the good in the step for running the smoothly in entire the process over there. But the few people on the higher levels, like they don't try, they don't even understand what's the process to be follow. तो हम ब्लेम नहीं कर सकते, ब्लेम हम खुद को ही करेंगे। वी पीपल आर द डिफॉल्टर, हम ही है उसके पीछे। हम कंट्री टू कंट्री में चले जाते हैं, बट फॉल्ट हमारा ही होता है। अगर हम थोड़ा स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टेप लेते हैं, हम आर करंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, हमने बहुत सारे स्ट्रगल किए, हमने 2-2 बजे तक नाइट तक वर्क करके हमारे एंटायर टीम ने पूरा स्मूथली प्रोसेस किया है, जो कि लास्ट ना 5 ईयर से कंपनी में कोई चेंजेस नहीं आए थे। सो दैट इज अ थिंग, वो डिपेंड करता है एफर्ट। जैसे आपने कहा कि ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन होना चाहिए, सिमिलरली नॉलेज होना चाहिए, कंपनी ज्यादा नॉलेजेबल होती है। सम पीपल्स, हमारे इंडिया में आप बोलते हो कि हमारी इंडस्ट्री है, बट अच्छे से अच्छे ब्रिलियंट स्टूडेंट भी है, ब्रिलियंट पर्सन है, वो भी अदर कंट्री में दे आर प्रोवाइडिंग द सर्विसेज साइमल्टेनियसली। तो इट्स माय ओपिनियन, कैलिबर्टी में हमें कमी नहीं होती है, एफर्ट्स में हमारे में कोई कमी नहीं होती, हार्ड वर्क भी हम इंडियंस ही मिलेंगे, साइमल्टेनियसली स्मार्ट वर्कर भी है। तो क्वालिटी हमें है ऐसा नहीं है,
नहीं
बट
नहीं,
डोंट टेक इट
nobody's
पर्सनली हो
denying
जाए।
that. No denying the quality, ये तो है। You're absolutely right. See, as a nation, जितनी क्वालिटी इंडिया में आपको मिलेगी, जितनी डाइवर्सिटी आपको इंडिया में मिलेगी, you will not find it anywhere.
एग्जैक्टली।
और उस क्वालिटी को क्या हम कोलैबोरेटिव तरीके से एक दूसरे के साथ शेयर करके उस क्वालिटी को, अगर सपोज करिए वो 50% पे है, आप उसको 80% पे कैसे लेके जाएंगे? जब आप नॉलेज शेयरिंग करेंगे, जब आप एक दूसरे के साथ मिलकर काम करेंगे, जब आप एक ऐसा एटमॉस्फेयर बनाएंगे जहाँ पे आपको एम्प्लॉय हवा की तरह नहीं देखेगा, आपके पास आके बोलेगा कि हाँ यार ये सिचुएशन है, इसमें क्या करूं। मतलब आपको ये समझना है कि एचआर, जैसे आपने बोला कि पीपल जो एचआर सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम सॉल्वर होता है, राइट? यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट। तो
राइट।
अगर एचआर इज अ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्वर, सो कंपनी में हर बंदे को, वॉचमैन से लेके सीईओ तक, कॉन्फिडेंस होना चाहिए कि आई कैन गो टू द एचआर और मैं अपनी प्रॉब्लम जो है, सिचुएशन, उसका सॉल्यूशन यहाँ से निकलना चाहिए। वो कॉन्फिडेंस जो है वो आपको ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर बिल्ड करना पड़ता है। अगर वो कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्ड हो जाएगा तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की जो फ्लूइडिटी है, जिसे हम एजिलिटी कहते हैं बिजनेस में, वो बहुत ही अच्छे तरीके से बाहर आएगी। और उसमें फिर क्या होगा, टॉक्सिक जो वर्क कल्चर है ना, वो बहुत कम होगा। बिकॉज टॉक्सिक होता क्यों है? क्योंकि लोग एक दूसरे से जेन्युइन कम्युनिकेशन थोड़ा करते हैं, एक दूसरे के, हम मैं वही तो कह रहा हूँ, आई एम नॉट क्रिटिसाइजिंग, आई एम क्रिटिकिंग। क्रिटिकिंग का मतलब ये है कि मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि आप बिलीव नहीं करोगे, हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जो आप बात करो, हर जगह ये सिचुएशन है। एंड हम ऐसा नहीं, वी आर द काइंड ऑफ कंट्री जहाँ पे आप एक एंड पे चले जाइए या दूसरे एंड पे चले जाइए, आपको हर तरह की कंपनी मिलेंगी, हर तरह के लोग मिलेंगे, राइट? पर उसमें आपको ये देखना है कि किस तरह से, क्या आप अपने आप को एक लीडर समझते हो कि नहीं। और लीडरशिप का मतलब बहुत गलत है इंडिया में, हम बॉस और लीडर में कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं, जहाँ पे हम ले आते हैं ईगो। जिस दिन हम ईगो किस तरह सोचते हैं, फिर हम हैं बॉस। बॉस का मतलब है कि दूसरे को ऑर्डर देना। लीडर होता है जो बंदे को साथ लेके जाता है। अगर कल को मैं बॉर्डर पे खड़ा हो जाता और अपने जवान को बोलता, जाओ सारे, मैं पीछे से देखता हूँ, आई एम अ बॉस, दैट्स poor leadership. I will be the first one who will run and charge the enemy so that my men have the confidence कि yes, we want to support this man. I will be the first one to take the bullet because I am leading from the front. Why do we say leading from the front? ताकि हम example set करें। अगर हम बॉस हैं तो हम आराम से पीछे बैठ के बोलेंगे ये करो वो करो, और गलती उनकी निकालेंगे ना। तो लीडरशिप जो है, इट इज नेवर टू डू विद ईगो। जिस दिन हम अपना पर्सनल ईगो किसी तरह से उसको अगर मार पाए, एक ऐसी चीज है जो कि ये पूरा लाइफ टाइम निकल जाता है कि कुछ लोगों का वो ईगो में ही रह जाते हैं, पैदा भी उसमें होते हैं, मर भी उसमें जाते हैं। उन्होंने कभी
वन मोर थिंग, सॉरी फॉर इंटरप्शन। आप जैसे कि स्किल टाइप में है,
अच्छा, मेरा प्रायर एक्सपीरियंस है, मैं जर्नलिस्ट प्रोफाइल हूँ A to Z and I'm aware of that. But right now I'm just taking care of the complete and payroll and the compliance. But sometimes like in my teams, the 3 or 4 people are working under me. I'm just taking the role of as a team leader. But वो ना स्क्वीज हो जाती है, कंपनी उनको साइमल्टेनियसली रोटेशनल है ना अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं देती। दैट इज अ थिंग कि उनकी जो स्किल्स है ना वहीं के भी स्क्वीज होके रह, अगर एक टीए का है तो वो टीए प्रोफाइल में रह जाएगा, ऑनबोर्डिंग है तो ऑनबोर्डिंग, एफएफएस है, दिस इज डिफरेंट क्राइटेरिया। तो वो चीजें होनी चाहिए इंडस्ट्री में साइमल्टेनियसली, एक रोटेशनल साइकिल जैसे आपने बताया ना कि रोटेशनल होना चाहिए। प्रोफाइल टू प्रोफाइल आप तभी जाके एक सीनियर पोजीशन पे आप लीडर तब बनोगे ना, आपको बॉटम से टॉप तक का पता होगा।
Absolutely, and to add to your point, I would always say कि भाई never put all your eggs in one basket. एक सही कहने का मतलब I am working in a company full time, but at the same time, I never leave my own dreams or my passions of developing new innovations and new companies. I have always had that motto कि आप जो जिस जॉब में हैं दैट्स गुड, आप उसमें ग्रो करिए, बट अगर आप में जेन्युइन पोटेंशियल है तो उसको रोके नहीं कि यू कैन नॉट मेक समथिंग ऑफ योर ओन। लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, if you are able to create something original, आपके अंदर originality है, and you're more than happy to give it some time of your life. It's all about time management, right? One of the key qualities of human resources, time management. So if I'm just giving an example because I'm in an HR meeting here, so I was able to create my own company and at the same time work full time, and did it once, did it twice. It's a big struggle, trust me, but उससे क्या होता है, you realize कि ठीक है भाई, you had a dream, आपने ड्रीम को, आइडिया को रियलिटी में कन्वर्ट किया, और उसके लिए इंडस्ट्री आपको पनिश नहीं करेगी, इंडस्ट्री आपके पास आएगी, क्योंकि आप आइडिया वाले इंसान हो, आप वो इंसान हो जो स्क्रैच से कुछ चीज को खड़ा कर सकते। So आजकल we have this whole concept of moonlighting and everything. It's been there for years. It's just been sensationalized by the media. Anyone who clocks out after their stipulated time can do anything by law. It's written in IBO, Indian Labor Law में भी लिखा है। ऐसा कोई सिस्टम नहीं है कि आप किसी की बंदिश में हैं। बॉन्डेड लेबर नहीं है ना हम लोग, वी आर नॉट स्लेव्स। बॉन्डेड लेबर तो बहुत साल पहले खत्म हो गया था। So this was just a concept. Moonlighting doesn't exist everywhere in the world. People are in all kinds of different things. तो मेरा कहने का मतलब यही था कि अपनी प्रोफाइल को बढ़ाना हमारे हाथ में है, चाहे वो हम कंपनी में बढ़ा रहे हैं, चाहे हम थ्रू एजुकेशन या कुछ प्रोफेशनल कोर्सेज के थ्रू अपने आप को अपस्किल करते जा रहे हैं और उस नॉलेज को वापस अपनी कंपनी में लेके आए और शो करें कि देखो इसका यूज हो सकता है। हम से कि हर बार कोई सुनेगा, बट एटलीस्ट यू आर ट्राइंग, यू विल फील सेटिस्फाइड कि एटलीस्ट आई एम पुटिंग इन द चांस ऑफ ट्राइंग समथिंग न्यू। दैट्स व्हाट आई एम saying.
इसमें कंपनी का भी ना ड्रॉबैक होता है, जैसे कि मेरा एक अनदर है प्रीवियस टू प्रीवियस एक्सपीरियंस है, उसमें जैसे कि अलग अलग डिपार्टमेंट की जितने भी सेशंस होते थे, हमारे एचआर में हमें लेटेस्ट वर्जन की बुक्स अवेलेबल होती थी, जितने भी हमारे कोर्सेज होते थे रिगार्डिंग फॉर दैट एन अपग्रेडेशन ऑफ द स्किल्स। तो कंपनी का कहीं ना कहीं पोटेंशियल उसमें इन्वॉल्व होता है कि ताकि फिर ग्रो होता है, तभी ये ग्रो कर पाएगी। आप अपने एक ऑनरशिप है, बॉस अगर चाहे ना तो सिस्टम को स्मूथली भी कर सकता है, बट जब एचआर अप्रोच करता है फिर उसमें बीच में ब्रांडिंग एंड ऑल दैट डिपार्टमेंट, फाइनेंशियल डिपार्टमेंट, सीएफओ, द एक्सपेंसेस एंड ऑल दैट, वो डिपेंड करता है। अगर आप रिस्क टेकर हो, अपनी टीम को जो स्मूथनिंग जो है ना प्रोसेसिंग करते हैं तो वो होता है। इसमें इवन आर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हम ना उसमें क्या करते हैं, बॉन्ड साइन करते हैं, कुछ स्पेसिफिक ऐसी प्रोफाइल्स होते हैं जिन पे हम अपना अमाउंट स्पेंड करते हैं, हम उनको कोर्सेज देते हैं कि वो करें, और फिर उसमें बॉन्ड साइन है, इट्स लाइक इन कंडीशन है कि हमने इतना ट्रेनिंग पे आप पे स्पेंड किया तो इतने से ड्यूरेशन पे यू वर्क। तो इसमें एम्प्लॉय की भी ग्रोथ होती है, अपने स्किल्स भी अपग्रेड होती है, कंपनी का भी है जो लॉस बियरिंग है वो है ना, वो जो है सेटिस्फाइड हो जाता है कि भी हाँ ये चीजें भी एडिशनली कंपनी पे भी डिपेंड करती है। एचआर अप्रोचेबल भी होता है बट कंपनी समवेयर somehow they deny.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, see, I'm not denying at all. You're absolutely right that, see, it's a company to company, and of course, that's why I said because of privatization being the number one source of income in India, it is a Pandora's box, जिसे हम कहते हैं कि इसकी good, bad, and ugly तीनों side है. So depends where we are, and of course, one can always land up in a very bad company. All of us have had experiences of bad bosses or bad. It's something that we learn from. Definitely, I agree with you. See, it is a company-centric situation. Any other questions from anyone or any other points of discussion?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. One thing that I learned in the last, I would say maybe 8 years of the last few years, where I got an opportunity to work with few edtechs and also few startups, was number one problem that I saw was most of the SOPs of the company, or let's say hiring policies, or uh, you know growth policies, were people driven and people centric. That means that anyone could be demoted or promoted or removed or brought in based on the whims and fancies of people who were having primary, let's say, weightage in the company. And to neutralize that, when you define a process based work approach, then it is non humanistic in nature. That means a specific human being is not deciding कि बंदा ए से बी जा रहा है, उस बंदे की जो ग्रोथ है, अगर उसने जेन्युइन प्रोडक्टिविटी दी है, तो जो आपके एसओपी प्रोसेस में है, प्रोसेस विल डिफाइन. सो मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि हमने उसमें ह्यूमन एलिमेंट निकाल दिया है. हमने प्रोसेस एक ऐसा बनाया कि that process clearly, transparently shows who's actually doing well, and based on the process output, you're able to justify to your CEO, to your boss, or whoever, that this person has been doing X because of this framework, which is in the company. It is not a personal decision; it is based on the person's ability. The number one problem is most of the times why people get into politics and negative things is because there are it's always people wish, oh, this guy is very good sir, इसने ये किया वो किया. Companies कभी भी एक जिस तरह से पानी बहता है ना, जिस तरह से एक stream agile flow नहीं बनाते हैं. There is no agility in a company. प्रोसेस के थ्रू प्रोडक्टिविटी मेजर नहीं की जाती. परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट टूल्स आज के डेट में अवेलेबल हैं, अगर हम उनको यूज करके पीपल बेस्ड कंपनी से प्रोसेस में आ जाएं, तो आप जिसको भी निकाल भी रहे हो, इसलिए निकाल रहे हो क्योंकि process has shown that the person is not able to deliver for X amount of time, which is the stipulated time that you were looking at, and the other person has grown not because of some personal political किसी के साथ connection बना के वो, it's because of the work. तो अगर काम बोलेगा क्योंकि प्रोसेस काम बोल रहा है कि काम कर रहा है, तो आप उसको जस्टिफाई कर सकते हो, उसको कोई कॉन्ट्रडिक्ट नहीं कर सकता. Which is not an easy thing to do with India. I completely agree, because Indians, again, I told you, at the end of the day, we are working for someone. But yes, it is very much possible if we define a very strong process-based approach and bring it to the management. More often than not, at least they will be willing to listen to it. And if they're willing to listen to it, that's the first step that an HR can get to completely neutralize the prospect of politics in the organization. Politics always happens when there is no command and control in the organization. When I say command and control, I don't mean कि उनको पकड़ के रखना है. Command and control means उनको पता है कि system is set और system के बाहर जाएंगे, system को misuse करेंगे, then the system will fire back. कोई बंदा नहीं fire कर रहा है. System itself will check you out. So that helps. At least in my experience, that has really helped me. They have to.
Yeah, just one thing, like in India, like most of the organization what we have is basically entrepreneurship organization, where the personal funds are invested. So they what I see with 12 years of experience and even interviewing many MNC interview candidates. Majority times we find that Indian companies are more profit centric. They always believe in the profit maximization process rather wealth maximization concept.
Right.
Whereas if we see MNC companies, they are more driven towards they work with stakeholder management concept where they want to maximize the wealth. So I guess this is something which is transforming in India, and it will take certain time. I guess we have to, as a HR, we have to be in that scenario so far, because I don't know like how quickly this would get out, because those people who have started from small, they always wanted to have their personal gains more, and that is the reason they keep like the people aside sometimes, and they look at their personal gains, and that's where as HR we have to balance. So it is a challenging task, and we all do this basically.
No,
But yes, good time is coming for HR.
definitely, definitely. I mean, the value of an HR, especially the pandemic, has shown when companies started losing money because they will see, we as a country, we don't invest in human capital or human value. We invest, as you rightly said, in the net worth in terms of a certain output of the financial perspective, not the perspective of long-term growth. I'll give you a very simple example. Because I've been working in edtech companies, so why the edtech bubble failed in India in the year 2022? It's a very simple logic. We pumped so much money. We had so many investors. Still, how come companies got liquidated? I'll give you an example of Lido Learning. Lido Learning was one of the edtechs which was run by one of the biggest businessmen of this country out of Mumbai. Massive amount of money in the company. In fact, was named top 10 edtechs in 2000, the last December 2021, and it just took 26 for the company to file for bankruptcy. Simple answer is not a single edtech company in this country ever planned what we call a sustainable business model, which means you're not going to exist for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. If you are genuinely thinking of being not just a startup and you want to be established, you have to make a sustainable business model, which should be minimum for 10 years. That's point number one. Point number two, if you are only thinking that the profit margin or your success is directly proportional to the net worth of the revenue that you're generating, then that was the biggest failure for edtech because they did not invest in human capital. edtechs में क्या होता है? You're not after quality. जो आप सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट्स हायर करते हो वो कौन होते हैं? Why are they easily working for 15, 14, 12,000 rupees? Because they are just college graduates जो अभी निकल के बाहर आए हैं, उनको हम सब्जेक्ट पकड़ा देते हैं. हम कॉस्ट कटिंग इतना कर रहे थे टेक्स में जिससे कि जो क्वालिटी ऑफ प्रोडक्ट है, जब स्कूल्स वापस खुल गए, जब कॉलेज वापस खुल गए, देन दे रियलाइज कि भाई what we were doing in the offline system was way better than what was happening in the online system. And for 2 years, edtechs in a way not just dominated, they blackmailed the education industry to say that if you want to survive, you have to buy a product. And unfortunately, because our education system is also privatized, they have no choice because उनको पेरेंट्स से फीस देनी है. तो अगर शाहरुख खान बोल रहा है तो ये प्रोडक्ट लो तो उसको बोलेगा हाँ भी देना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो फीस नहीं मिलेगी. Right? So, but the irony, see, karma is a bitch. Pardon my French. But at the end of the day, because you did not have a strong business model, you did not develop, and you did not develop a process with human-based capital. आपने human capital में invest ही नहीं किया. Maximum attrition happened in one of the most successful companies of our country, which is Byju's, and the amount of losses that the company is incurring right now, आप वो हाथ पर हर जगह मार रहे हैं, you know. But it's a story, it's a lesson to be learned of why toxic work cultures end up creating the end of a company, which might not happen today, but it will happen at some point because at the end of the day, human capital will win over money.
And also, I guess in today's time, it is like more of like previously, all the things were stored in the mind, or the experience was there with people. So information was in the mind of people. Now the information is all available. So it is the person who can make intelligence out of that information is important. That makes human resource very important now, because previously, if we say it was one person who was holding the things or who was holding the experience in his mind, and so people have to depend on that person. Now it is, I guess, all informations are open. So this makes human resource very much important, that anybody can grow and anybody can make that happen.
Absolutely.
And even I see, like nowadays, if you see, the innovation is coming up so fast that the monopoly what a lot of companies were enjoying in past companies, in past, is not there now.
Yeah.
So it is your human resource only would help you out, not the machine or technology what you have.
Yes, yes, you're right.
Because you are best of machine, but you don't have people to operate that machine. I think so. They are making the biggest loss.
Fair enough. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's where we have our potential, basically.
Makes sense. Thanks a lot, Mr. Page. Thank you. It was great talking to you.
Thank you, Dr. Karan. Thank you, Dr. Karan.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for being here.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you. Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful night ahead.
Thank you, Mr. It was really like interactive session, and very happy to see like somebody from Indian Army, has been part of HR fraternity, and would like to learn a lot of things from you, especially for the emotional intelligence. So could you just share us something where we can like
Yes,
work
of
out
course.
for the emotional
Definitely.
intelligence?
What I
And
would,
even
I would,
Mahesh, if you would like to have one session, if Mr. Karandeep can take some session on emotional intelligence also, because that would be the best
definitely.
thing we can learn from Indian Army, I guess.
I have dropped my LinkedIn URL. If you are using LinkedIn, it will be very helpful. And at any time, please write to me. And through that, you will also possibly find all the articles and publications about me and what all work I'm doing. And I would love to, of course, with Mr. Mate, work on the EQ factor because, you rightly said, that's a very, very important factor right now for people, especially in a developing country like ours. Thank you, Mr. Mate. Okay, can I share my screen for 1 second? Okay, fair enough. Just a second. So, anyways, I've shared my LinkedIn. So, you can just, I hope my screen is visible. So, if we just go on Google, you just about my name, you can pretty much know everything about me. My SEO is quite good, the search engine optimization. So, the company that I was talking to you about, the second startup that I started, got an award last year in December, which was basically one of the most inspiring entrepreneurs for the year 2021. This is one of the celebrities also who is also a very good friend, Malaika Arora, and this was in Bombay. Of course, I mean, if you go down, you will find a better, I would say, more academic article which was published by Forbes magazine about my entire journey and all the different things that I've been doing. So Forbes had done a publication on my, you can say, my journey so far in India. So you can have a read on that. And if you would like to possibly know, there are a couple of interviews taken by different magazines here. You can read about them. And anyone who's interested in specifically, let's say, knowing about my edtech journey, then you can go to Fortune magazine India, and you would know about how, especially during the pandemic, what was I up to, what kind of things I was doing, and even before the pandemic, and of course, how did I sort of work in the edtech and the startup ecosystem. So all you have to do is just Google my name, and you would possibly, know each and everything that you. I guess you need to know about me, my journey, my work. It's all over there on the internet. And of course, if you're connected with me on LinkedIn, then you will have access to all this data. So I guess with that, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night ahead, and I hope to connect with all of you and have meaningful conversations both on the internet through chat or in any. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Good night.
Thank you.